Typescript, which is the preferred language by the Angular 2 team, and it's starting to look really cool these days. We've been following Angular 2 and TypeScript for a long time, and to be precise, for the past 4 months. And so actually, I wanted to do this small tutorial, and I also wrote a blog post on this. So I'd like to I'd add that blog post in the description section, so that you can always later go on and check this tutorial. So let's get started. So very first thing I want to do here is start everything from scratch. So let's get started. The very first thing we'd like to do is create a directory. Let's call it something. What should I call it? Let's call it Angular seed. Okay, so let's call it Angular. No, so calling it Angular 2 seed would make sense. Okay, so now we have Angular 2 seed ready. Let's cd into that directory, and we have our Angular 2 seed directory. So the idea behind installing TypeScript and using TypeScript with AngularJS is that we would like to first install. Okay, so what happens is in this small, yeah, so the very first thing we want to do is install TSD. Let me just quickly show you guys what TSD is. So TSD is nothing but TypeScript definition manager, which is yeah, you can see here, this is yeah, so this is called yeah, so you can go to this website called Definitely Typed. What they do is they store all the, you can say, libraries or packages which are compatible with TypeScript. They are hosted here. So this is like npm for JavaScript, where you can host all your libraries. So yeah, so what we have to do is install TSD using this simple command npm install TSD. -d is important here, since we want to make sure that we can run this command from the global scope. Okay, so as I have this installed on my system, so it won't do much here, but you should see some success messages when this command executes completely. So let's see, this is giving me some warning, which is about some node version and its compatibility. Nothing much. And so since I have it installed, it won't do much on my system. Okay, cool. So let's move on to the next step. Cool, it's done. So after TSD is installed, we have to tell our this directory that we want to use TSD and actually TypeScript to code this application. So the command we have to do fire here is TSD init, and what this command will do is this command will generate a tsd.json file, and so it's like bubba.json or package.json, where you can use these to track your libraries and their versions. And it's also good for other developers because you can share your code base and they won't have to fire commands manually. They just have to do tsd reinstall, and they'll have all the same dependencies or libraries which you have on your system. So pretty cool. Let's just try it out. TSD init. We hope that it will generate tsd.json. There it is, tsd.json. You can see it's saying it's version 4 and then the repository and something like that. It also, yeah, so it gives you this path called typings and this bundle called typing dot slash tsd.d.ts, so which is nothing but typings is the directory where all my repositories are going to be, or sorry, all my libraries are going to be stored. Actually it's like node modules when you use npm. So and tsd dot yeah, and this tsd.d.ts, it's gonna store all the libraries, all the versions of actually it will include all the libraries, and I'll show you in a moment. It's typings, the directory in which all my modules will go, and this thing. So currently it doesn't have anything. So as soon as I add more libraries to it, it will start to modify this file internally, and after that we can see if that works. Yeah, so let's clear my screen. Yeah, next thing is to install, as this is an Angular 2 application, we have to go ahead and install Angular 2. So as it so happens that this TSD, which is TypeScript definition directory, it has excuse me, it has Angular 2 in its repositories. It's not complete though. Angular team says that they will launch this complete complete type definitions as this Angular 2 code matures to beta version. Let's see. Okay, so we have to find out if Angular 2 is hosted on TSD or not. So just we have to use this command TSD query and then the package name. I'm waiting for it to actually find out this if this repository is actually, yeah, cool. This repository is actually available on TSD, and as you can see, the output is Angular 2. So next thing is to actually install this thing, Angular 2. So we'll have to I won't do anything special here. It's just a same simple command. I'll query Angular 2, and then I'll specify an action which will say that I want to install this and also save it in my local tsd.json. So let's check it out. It's installing Angular 2, and it says that it has written one file which is and I by default I expect it to go into typings. You can see there's Angular 2 folder over here, and I expect that it should have modified my tsd.dt.ts with this package. Cool. Yep, there you are. It has installed Angular 2 and then it has given this reference path of Angular 2, and so actually this d.ts is actually present in um, Angular 2 Angular2.d.ts, this thing. Yeah, so it has so actually it has links for all the type definitions of Angular 2. So just by linking this to our main file, which is tsd.d.ts, we know that it's like a gem file. You give a link or something, and then it will include all the code base into it. Yeah, so the next thing is, so now we have Angular 2 installed. Next thing would be to actually yeah, one more thing I wanted to actually tell you guys was that our tsd.json is also updated, and it points to this commit, which is the latest commit in Angular 2 TypeScript what do you call it, this type definitions, which is tracked by the commit. So the latest stable commit is actually what's shown here, and so it's just a way to track what's latest in this. um, as I said earlier, it's not complete yet, and we only have a very core modules present in this, just like in modules like ng4, ngf, and then some very core functionality, not much. Okay, cool. Now we have this directory which has Angular 2 and tsd.json, which tells my TypeScript compiler that this is a TypeScript directory, and I wanna run it using the TypeScript compiler. After this, actually, there's one more task left to do, which is to install the TypeScript compiler. Actually, TypeScript compiler is installed by installing the language itself, which we can install by this command npm install -g, and just writing TypeScript, and I'm explicitly giving it the version number because I want to actually use the latest beta, which is not available by default. When you just install, when you just simply do npm install minus g typescript. So actually I want to use the beta version. So by doing this I can install the typescript library, this language. By the way, did I tell you guys it's a language by Microsoft team, and Google was initially thinking of using something called AppScript, which was very similar to TypeScript. So once Angular, this Microsoft team visited Angular, and they both decided TypeScript was better choice rather than developing their own language. So Angular guys somehow, they both decided to use TypeScript and retire AppScript. Yeah, so I think my TypeScript is installed. Cool. Now there's one more thing I want to make you guys tell you guys, and which is the way you tell a repository that I want to compile the code present in this repository using TypeScript is you can also create a file, something called tsdconfig.json. And actually I want to show you guys, let me just go to TypeScript on GitHub and find something for you, which is it's called typescript.json, and sorry, tsconfig.json. It was somewhere in wiki I saw sometime. Yeah, here it is, tsdconfig.json. Yeah, so the presence of tsdconfig.json file and directory indicates that the directory is the root of TypeScript project. So I won't go in much detail here, but there are a lot of options like compiler options and then files. So basically these files are going to be washed by the, not actually washed, but compiled by the TypeScript compiler. And these are some of the compiler options. And one interesting thing is that if you don't make this file, all the options will be the options that are used by default in TypeScript compiler. If you specify this file, then it's going to override that thing. And if you don't put this files array at all, then it will, by default, it will compile all the .ts extension files, which is okay. So you don't actually need this thing, but yeah, it was just for your knowledge. Okay. Now I think we have everything in place which we need to start our application. Now let's go ahead and make a file, make app.ts, which is going to contain all our app code. And this ts extension is obviously stands for TypeScript. It's pretty obvious. Yeah, so let's get started. Now, the very first thing I want to do here is I want to include. I want to tell this. I want to somehow be able to fetch Angular code and then work on it. So the way I do it in Angular 2 is I provided provided with this thing called reference path. So as I told you earlier, my Angular 2 code resides inside of the typings directory, and path of the Angular2 code was in Angular2.t. Actually, let me show you guys what that means. Yes. See, inside of Angular2 I can, yeah, this file is the main file which I want to include in my code, so that I can go ahead and start using Angular2, not 3, Angular2. And there's so much time in Angular3. Yeah, so if I do this, I basically say that I want to include all the files, all the TypeScript definitions which are available in that library. Okay, cool. Now we have Angular. Now the first, so there are basically three components, not three, two components of, not components, but two parts of an Angular2 application. The first and the most important is a component, and I can make endless amount of videos explaining what component is. Actually, yeah, and the other is a view. Component is nothing but uh, so the meaning of component is, let's say you are making something and you want to make it, you don't want to make it in a single go. You create small parts of it and then you combine it. So that is what a component is. Components are small parts of an application which combined together will form a complete application, big application. And view is nothing but your templates. That's pretty obvious. Yeah, so let's get rid of these comments and get started with our first component. So the way you define a component, by the way, in future I'm going to do a lot of videos on components. So actually not I won't go in a lot of detail in this, but in future I'll surely will. Okay, so let's call it my app something. Yeah, so this is our first component, and so the selector I have defined here in component is called my app. Now I want to make a view. Okay, so the view will obviously contain a template. For the sake of simplicity, let's not go ahead and create a separate templates file. Let's just say greetings from anybody from this thing, from h1. So this thing should work. Oh, yeah, I think I'm missing something. No worries, I'll get back to that later. Now for this component I want to actually create a controller. So this is somewhat similar to what controllers were in Angular 1. So it's the whole logic part, or let's say the main code will go into something called a class in TypeScript. So let's just, for the sake of simplicity, call it controller. A lot of people are calling it controllers, but that's not what they actually are. But okay, component. Okay, I wanna make a string. So this is like a member variable, and guys who are familiar with Java will surely laugh at this, because this is so like Java, and I'm loving it since I was a big fan of Java. Constructor. Okay, there you go. I want to assign a name. Let's say, okay, cool. So in short, our component is complete, and so I have my component in place, I have my template in place. The only thing left here is to bootstrap this application. So the way in Angular 2 it was it used to happen in three phases. The first was the initializing phase, where you created the module with the dependencies. Then was the config phase, where you used to define all the routes and stuff. Then was the run phase, where the application actually started. Forget all that in Angular 2. It's too simple here. It's called a single bootstrap phase, where you just give the name of the component which you want to boot up your application with, and that is all. Just say boot my application. Cool. Okay. Yep. So that is all. Okay. Now I have my TypeScript file written, which is in TypeScript, and which is weird, because my browsers will not understand what TS is. They don't understand TypeScript. They only understand JS and ES5, not even ES6. So there has to be some way to somehow actually convert my different these ES6 or TypeScript files to a JS file. Otherwise, it won't run on my browser. because our browsers are not updated with these new languages. So we have something called a transpiler. A transpiler is nothing but which it converts a certain language, let's say TypeScript in this case, and to a language which my browser understands. So there's a library called tracer.js, and actually this is by the Google team. So let's check it out. Trace. Mhm. Okay, yeah. So this is a compiler which which will help actually convert my TypeScript or ES6 code to the JavaScript code. Okay, so let's install. Okay, okay. So one more thing before we go ahead and install Tracer. There's one more thing. This Angular 2 is divided into modules. So earlier we had this custom way of including code in Angular 1 that has gone away. Now Angular team is following the module architecture, which is being standardized these days, and it's really accepted on a large scale. So to include the modules, there's a library called system.js. It can include, let me show you guys what system.js looks like. Yeah, so as the readme says, a universal dynamic module loader loads ES6 modules, AMD common.js global scripts. So this basically solves the problem of require.js or browserify or something like that, which used to create a lot of confusion. So there's this one uh, module loader which will load all your ES6 or TypeScript or module based libraries. So we have to install that too. And so as of now we have installed Angular 2 type definitions, but what a browser will need is Angular 2, and that to a JSON the JavaScript version, which actually the actually what my browser understands. So we have to somehow convert, not actually convert, but see, so the TypeScript Angular is used by us to write code in TypeScript and then convert that, actually transpile that to JS. Along with that, we have to somehow pass Angular 2 code to the browser too, so that this JS which we wrote is actually working with the latest development version of Angular 2 code. Okay, so with that in mind, we have now three things to install, which is Angular 2, system.js, and tracer.js. So actually, I'd like to install these using using npm. So I'll go in detail why I installed this using npm and not included them in my index.html, which I could have done. That creates a lot of confusion because you won't be able to do any kind of tests or work when you are offline or something. So it's always better to have code on your system than fetch code from on the fly, which is also really slow. Okay, so for that I would like to create a package.json file. Okay, actually no, I should do did I create or not? Okay, no. Let me do npm init, so that way it'll create Angular 2 seed. I don't know why I keep writing Angular 3. Maybe I'm too excited about this. Angular 2 and TypeScript. And cool. Yeah. Okay. Let's go ahead and check out the package.json file. Package.json file has no dependency as such. Okay, let's go ahead and install those three dependencies: Angular 2, system.js, and Tracer. So Angular 2, system.js, tracer, and I give -/if, so it will save it in the package.json. It may take some time, but I think there's an error. Okay, it says no compatible version found for Angular 2. This is most likely not a problem with npm itself. Okay, let's check the logs. It says npm install. I don't know. The problem is, let's see. It says I don't have a target. Let's try installing. No, again no. So no compatible okay. Oh, I think I have to give a version of Angular over here because let me see. I think I can. Okay, let's just try it this way. Let's first install npm install system.js. Okay. Yeah, I think it's working here. Okay, cool. So this thing is working. We were able to install system.js. Now I think let's install tracer because it was also not giving any errors as such. Okay, so tracer is also working. So it's only Angular 2 was working. I think I have to okay. I have to actually go and check on npm about AngularJS. What's the latest version? Oh no, not AngularJS, Angular 2. Yep, this is the directory. Yes, actually I have to give this version number along with my Angular package name, Angular 2 @ this thing. Now it should work. Let's see. I think it's working here. The problem is, yep, it worked. So the problem was they haven't released the full version, so you have to give the version number along with this thing to install. Actually, I like to check my dependencies after I've installed all these things. My system.js is 180, is 01.18, is tracer is pretty new, which is 0.19. This is alpha. Actually, we may need to change some of the files here later, so we'll go on with that later. Now we have these 3 dependencies installed. One more thing we have to do before we start to actually see how this thing works in browsers. We haven't written our index.html. So for that, I would like to go to my so I have written it somewhere else. Yeah, I'd like to copy this into my current directory, and I'd like to show you guys how this looks. Yeah, so this is one more thing. Okay, node modules, right? So the thing I want to highlight here is that, see, I have included these three links to these three files, which is tracer.js, system.js, and Angular2 min.js, which is actually present in the node modules directory. So with that thing, I think it should it's now ready to yeah. One more thing here is that, yeah, so I did not cover one thing, which is we actually have to where I go so we actually have to transpile our TypeScript code into our JavaScript code. For that, we have to tell our compiler, which is TypeScript compiler, TSC, TypeScript compiler, to watch our app.ts. So what it'll do is it'll convert my app.ts into something called as app.js, which is the language our browsers understand. So let's go ahead and look at app.js if it's there. Cool. Yeah, so as you can see, this is the JavaScript code, and I don't actually understand a lot here, but this is how your JavaScript you have to write if you have to achieve what you've written by that single file of TypeScript. So let's not spend a lot of time on that, and let's okay. So now after this, we have to start our HTTP server. Okay, if I have it installed in my system, which I happen to have. Okay, now I think I have to go to 8080 if at all. Okay, let's see, it doesn't happen in a single row. This is saying can't find variable component. And it's also saying it can't find this tracer bin.js.map. Okay, now here the real problem starts. Can't find variable component is in what file? Let's check it out. Okay. Did I write it correctly? Oh my god. Cool. So I got it. This is the thing is I don't know why, but I forgot to import yeah, so this is the new syntax, and the way it works is, so if I have to use this thing, this component annotation here, I have to explicitly ask my code for this particular this, let's call it something else. I have to use this import statement to actually fetch that part for me. So by default, so as in Angular 2, everything was accessible to you by default. You could use anywhere you could use nga for ng for and ng repeat. It doesn't happen in Angular just like that. You only ask for what you need, so that way you don't blot your application. So I want actually three things. I have written a component, so I have included a component. I have written a view, so I have included a view, and I have also used this bootstrap method to actually bootstrap my application. So okay, there's an error too. I don't know why, but I've misspelled bootstrap, and yeah, that should do. Bootstrap from where? Angular2 Angular2 slash Angular2. That should do it for me. Angular2 slash, I'm bad with spelling sometimes. Component, view, bootstrap. I'm just double checking it all. Okay, some extra lines I'll get rid of. Okay, now let's see. As you can see, it's again compilation. Yeah, as you can see, this message compilation is complete again, and so let's go and check out our app.js, which I don't understand much, but still I like to do. Okay, bootstrap, things are looking good. Okay, we're going to split twice. Cool. Now let's go to the browser and give it a spin. What the hell? Oh, come on, this works. Oh, so actually there's one more problem left here, which is I have this thing, greetings from, which means my application is working. I don't believe it. Because the first time I was doing it, it took me around a whole day to figure out things, I don't know how it worked this time, but it's pretty cool it worked. Okay, now I want to go into my app.js and let's see. Oh, not actually .ts. So I've said greetings from, but I have forgot to write my name, which is very not done. Actually, I have to write something here, and so this is something which people from developers from Angular, from coming from Angular 1 will like actually, which is because this looks something like Angular 1, which is interpolation between two curly braces. Looks familiar. A lot of people will cheer this thing. Okay, so let's just, so what it's doing, the basic idea here is that I want to use my variables, which is variables and my member variables to be accessible in my controllers, sorry, through my controllers into my templates. So let's see if it works. Okay, I have to refresh it, I think. Oh, that works. That's pretty good. You don't know how uh, happy I am to see my name up there. Actually, I don't like seeing my name much, but yeah, I'm happy. Cool. Yeah, so that is it, guys. This thing, to my amazement, works. And actually, what I did not, could not cover actually in this is that when you're installing Tracer, it can lead to a lot of trouble, especially, let me show it to you guys, especially here. So you have to actually maintain this order. The first thing is going, it should be actually Tracer, then System, and then Angular 2. Otherwise, it will fuck things up for you. Uh, One more thing I noticed was the other day I was trying to install this thing and I ran into some sort of weird error, and I had to go in this. Wait, let me show you where I had to go and change things. Okay, tracer bin and then tracer.js. Okay, so this line, yep, this line was creating a lot of trouble for me, and I searched a lot, and then I happened to be on this link, which is a link to an issue from the repository itself, the tracer repository, and the issue number is 1A. I think it's somewhere around 1800. I'll have to actually look into it. So just okay. Let's go to the issues part. There are 274 issues I want to search. Is there a way to search an issue using the number? Oh, come on. I don't know. How do I search an issue with, let's see. My issue number is, it was 1883 if I'm not wrong. Actually, it's on my blog. I have to just go there. Cool, I have it. Yeah. So I got this. I seriously got this error. Node modules tracer bin tracer.js.map not found. And what I could okay, yeah. So the owner of this repository, which is one of the main core contributors, said that he did something which was which had some unintended consequence on how they were writing or trying to ship something using npm. But the fix or the monkey patch which he suggested was to remove the last line in node modules tracer bin.tracer.js, which I showed you here. This thing is actually commented out, but somehow I had to remove it the other day in my other repository to get it to work. But since it works here in this repository, I'm good. I'm glad. Okay, so yeah, guys, that's all. We have it. This thing works in the first go, and yeah. By the way, so I'd be doing a lot of more tutorials on AngularJS in future, specifically on TypeScript. uh, do like our video, do comment on it, do subscribe for latest video tutorials on Angular 2 and TypeScript. And yeah, we are pretty excited to be doing a lot of more stuff and tutorials on AngularJS too. And and I'd be linking my blog which I wrote on this, on how to set up a seed project in Angular 2 and TypeScript, in the description below. So do check it out, and if you ever get stuck anywhere, just leave me a comment on the video or on my blog, or reach out to me on my email. I'd be more than happy to help you with any sort of error. And okay, yeah, that's all. That was our first live, what do you call it, screencast on AngularJS seed project. That's all, guys. Thank you. See you next time.